and welcome back to Chase's Everything Shooting. Today's episode is about self-defense insurance. And I looked at this thinking maybe I should get some. I've been a concealed carrier for over 15 years in different states. And so I thought, probably smart to have that. So I started researching this. And I found about 10 different companies with all these different types of policies. And I narrowed it down to the top 5 companies and their policies. And that was in my opinion. So let's get out the legalese. I am not an attorney. This is not legal advice. The information in this video is for educational purposes. If you choose to purchase this insurance, please contact the carrier yourself. Reevaluate all the information I've given to you and verify that nothing has changed. Everything is subject to change without notice. Okay, so we got that over with. Let's get rolling. We never think we're going to really need this insurance, but it's a good possibility you will. So let's look at some of the past case and see what happened with that. Now, we all know the Kyle Rittenhouse case. He went to the riots and he was helped defending the areas. He ended up killing 2 people and wounding 1. And of course, what happens is the local DA tries to make a name for themselves, and they went after him with everything that they had. Now, Kyle was booked and arrested, and his bail was set at $2 million. Okay, so that's quite a bit of money right there. Along with that is they were going after him with first-degree intentional homicide, attempted first-degree intentional homicide. They were going after him for reckless endangerment homicide, the first-degree recklessly endangering safety, and there was two of those there. And I don't quite understand all those different charges and how those all work out, but he did get the verdict of not guilty on all charges. But I'm telling you, this trial cost over $2.5 million. So is there a need for the insurance? Well, for Kyle, it would have been nice for him to have it, but there's some idiosyncrasies amongst all these different policies, and you need to know about those in order to be able to pick the right one. Now, one of the things that I really found out when I started doing this research is all the policies say that it has to be true self-defense. And you ask yourself, well, someone was going to attack me or whatever. Well, if someone is starting to attack you or coming at you or whatever that is, and you feel that endangerment, that could be considered self-defense in some cases. But if you draw your weapon and they turn and run and you shoot them in the back, that is not considered self-defense from most of the carriers that I had talked to. So you have to make sure that it is a true self-defense case. So let's get down to the different categories and what those categories mean, and then we'll get to the different policies and we'll figure those out. Now, the information on the spreadsheet that I'm going to link down below is all the different programs, the top 5 companies and their different programs that they have within their system. So you can download that and look at it as we go along. I'll be showing it to you visually, so you may not want to, just up to you, but it will be in the descriptions below. So let's go through what the top categories are on the spreadsheet and then what goes below them. So please, I'm going to be reading this. I want to make sure that everything is super accurate. So the first column is going to be the company. And out of the companies, we have USCCA, we have U.S. Law Shield, we have CCW Safe, we have Right to Bear Arms, Right to Bear actually, pardon me, and Second Call Defense. Now, going on down the line, we have emergency access 24/7, 365. That means that they have operators waiting all the time for any type of phone call from a policyholder that they've been involved in a self-defense shooting. Then representation. Representation has two categories. One is criminal and one is civil. And criminal, of course, is if you're charged for murder. Civil is if the family of the person that you killed or maimed or shot or whatever, they can go after you civilly, meaning that they can go after your assets, they can come after your money, they can come after anything that you have that's worth anything. So that would be your civil. Now, there are limits on civil and their civil coverage, and they all have a little bit of difference on that. Then there is limits on the civil coverage and how much they cover and how much that all works. Then there is a category for deductibles. Really, I probably should have taken that out because the one that had deductibles didn't make our list, but I started the spreadsheet, so I put that in there. Then there's a category for attorney's fees. Now, what you need to know about attorney's fees is some of them lump all of it together. So if you have a criminal and a civil, the attorney's fees are such. And it'll show you on this spreadsheet. And we'll go through that as we get going along. Then the next is the bail bond limits. Now, bail bonds vary in different states, but, pardon me, most bail bonds, if the judge says your bail is $2 million, then 10% of that is what your bail bond would be, which would be $200,000. So there's a lot of different things within that bail bond structure. So you really need to look at that and see if those limits are what you want. Now, what I have found out, and it came from someone that deals with Lloyd's of London as their carrier, is that the average self-defense case, roughly attorney's fees and costs run about $35,000 to $40,000 total. Now, you'll see those limits are much, much higher listed below. So that is just kind of covered to make sure that if something happens and you have to go through retrial or whatever, that there's attorney's fees and money to make sure that you can get your case properly heard. Then there's a category for psychological support, meaning that when you shoot someone and kill someone, that there's usually some psychological trauma, and so that you have the ability to go out and talk to someone and work through that circumstance. And that's probably, something that probably is very smart to have. Then the next category is expert limits, expert witnesses limits. And expert witnesses are who you would call if they were looking at bullet trajectory, or they were looking at different things, what caused it, ricochets, how this bullet ricocheted and hurt that person or whatever. So that is definitely a category that you want to look at, because most you'll need some type of expert witness. Now, then we look at firearms replacement, meaning that your firearm has been confiscated, and a lot of times, it just you don't get it back. It gets into that loop and it's just gone. So that some of the programs have replacement. And then the next category is coverage area. Some cover every state in the United States. Some only cover 46. Some cover 45, 47. They're different. So you want to look at that coverage, and if you're going to be in the states that are not covered, then you need to know that up front. Then there's a category for resides in a constitutional carry state. And that's there. Several policies had different policies that covered constitutional carry states differently than concealed carry states or open carry states. So that's something you need to look at. The next category is funeral expenses covered. Now, that was kind of a weird category, and I kind of looked at it and I go, oh, funeral expenses. Well, you know, again, if you kill someone, you can help pay for those funeral expenses. Do I really want to do that? Probably not. If someone gets killed that's with you, then it would definitely help cover theirs. So it's a category. It's kind of strange, but if you are interested, that's super important. Then the next category is appeals and expungement. And so if you're found guilty, then there's money and the ability to go for appeals. And if you win, then they go for an expungement, meaning that that comes totally off your record and can't be found. So again, to some people that might be super important, to others it might not make a big difference. And again, pardon me for reading this stuff, but I just want to make sure that we're looking at everything. The next one is loss of wages per day. And loss of wages per day are when you get when you're arrested, you're incarcerated for a certain period of time, then you see a judge or a magistrate and they set the bail, and it may take you a few days to get the bail set up and all that kind of stuff. So any loss of income you have during that period of time and during the trial would be covered by some of these different policies. Then the next category is monitoring devices. And monitoring devices are like ankle bracelets and stuff where you'd be under house arrest and you couldn't go certain places while you're waiting for trial. So, or after trial and you've been convicted of something. So some of the policies cover those costs. Then there's the red flag law. And a lot of you probably don't know about this. I think there's 11 or 12 states that have red flag laws. And red flag laws are a law where a person, a relative, someone in law enforcement can go to the court and say, I feel that this person is incompetent to have firearms and I need them to have relinquished those firearms, and there's ways for them to do that. Now, I will tell you that, that every state, things change on this and how it's done. Some you have 3 days to appeal. You've got rights and they're all dictated. Some states are not. And so some of these have the ability to help fight those red flag laws in case you were wrongly accused. So the next category is crime scene cleanup. And that's a messy one. Because if there's a shooting and there's blood, that is a highly toxic and contagious waste. And I'm just telling you what I've heard and read and what the insurance companies say. So that will need to be cleaned up properly. So some of the policies have crime scene cleanup involved with them. And other policies, and this is the next category, have accidental shooting. In case you accidentally shoot someone, it covers those types of situation. And then the next category is any type of damages. So let's say that you were in a shooting, your first 2 rounds went through a wall and the third round caught the person or whatever. Then there's damages to your house or someone else's house or someone's car or whatever. That category covers all those types of damages, and they all kind of vary in there. Then the next category is newsletter, and do you get a newsletter with your subscription and how long that lasts? Then the next category is educational videos. They make educational videos of if you're involved in a shooting, what you're supposed to do, how you're supposed to do it, and how all of that works. Then we get just to the annual cost for one person. And that's all the categories pretty much do it that way. And if you want to add your spouse, then there's an extra cost to add your spouse. And then in some categories, the very end category is the annual cost plus your wife, plus any costs that are involved with add-ons, because some of these policies have add-ons. So you add a different state as an add-on. You add different things to it. Let's go over the first plan. The first plan is the USCCA, the United States Concealed Carry Association. They actually have 3 different plans under their umbrella. So I will tell you all of them and then any of the differences within them. So they have the gold, platinum, and elite. And so they all have the 24/7, 365 emergency. They all have representation for criminal cases. They do not cover civil in any one of their policies. Their criminal limits are $2 million on all the different programs. Of course, they don't cover any of the civil again. The deductibles, they have none. Attorney's fees, there's no limit, but that all corresponds back to the $2 million is the way I understand it. So there is a little bit of a limit there, but it's $2 million and it's way below or way above what most people would see on an average. Now, when it comes to bail, they have $1 million, and $1 million is they'll cover 10% of $1 million bond, which would be $100,000. And you can go through that. They don't have any psychological support. Expert witnesses, there is no limit on any of their programs. Firearms replacement, they don't do. They don't have any type of coverage area, so they cover the whole United States. Doesn't make any difference if you live in a constitutional carry state or not. And funeral expenses, they do not cover. Appeals and expungements, they do, but it falls back to the original amount. So if you spend $100,000 on your on your legal case, your criminal case, then if you want and you lose and you have to do an appeals, then you have whatever's left over for the appeals and expungement. So yes, they do cover that. Then loss of pay, they do not cover. Monitoring devices, they don't cover. Red flag law, they do not cover. Crime scene cleanup, they don't cover. Accidental shooting, they don't cover. Any damages, they don't cover. They give you a newsletter for a year, and then as you go down to the programs, the elites and the pros, they change because one will take you back so many years, and then the other one will take you back from the time that USCCA was started. And then the annual costs for a member for the first plan is $299. The second plan is $399, and the third plan is $499. So you can see how they kind of vary. They don't have any extra fees for your wife. They're not covered, or the wife and any other costs involved. There aren't any little add-ons to that. So, again, it shows that there's a lot of different avenues and something to look at. Now, you may look at it and go, well, that sounds kind of negative. Well, really, this is one of the premier programs, the USCCA. And because of the gold and the platinum and the elite, They're all really good plans. The coverages just expand and change a little bit, and you get a little bit more for your money. So something to think about. Again, we'll go through 4 more of these things, and we'll figure out which one really might be the best for you. U.S. Loss Shield. They have Plan 1, which it has 365 7-day, 24-hour-a-day emergency access. They've got representation for criminal and civil with no limits on either criminal or civil. They have no deductibles. Attorney's fees are no limits. The bail bonds are $50,000. The psychological support is not applicable. Expert witness, you can have $50,000 in costs. Firearm replacement, they do have that. They have coverage area is 49 states. Residing in a constitutional carry is not applicable. Funeral expenses covered is not applicable. They do appeals and expungements. Loss of wages, it's not applicable. Monitoring devices is not applicable. Red flag law is not applicable. Crime scene cleanup is not applicable. Accidental shooting is not applicable. Any damages is not applicable. You get a newsletter and you get educational videos, and the annual cost is $185. CCW Safe programs, there's 3 of them. There's 3 different policies: Defender Plan, the Ultimate Plan, and the Constitutional Carry Plan. All 3 plans have 24/7, 365 emergency access. All 3 plans have criminal representation. All 3 plans have civil representation. The limits on those: criminal, there's no limit on any of the plans. Under civil, the Defender Plan has $1 million. The Ultimate has $1.5 million, and the Constitutional Carry Plan doesn't have any coverage on civil. The deductibles are no deductibles on any of the plans. The attorney's fees, there's no limits on any of the attorney's fees on any of their plans. Bail bonds, the Defender Plan has $1 million, and the Ultimate Plan has $1.5 million. Psychological support. The Defender program has $6,000, the Ultimate Plan has $6,000, and the Constitutional Carry Plan has $1.5 million. The expert witness limit that they pay is no limit on any one of the plans. They have firearm replacement. They also are in 47 states. And the Constitutional Carry Plan is only in 46 states. The reside in constitutional carry, it's not applicable in the Defender and Ultimate, but Constitutional Carry Plan, yes, it's covered. The funeral expenses, all 3 plans have $15,000. All 3 plans cover appeals and expungements. Then the loss of wages, the Defender Plan is $1,000 a day. The Ultimate Plan is $1,000 a day, and the Constitutional Carry Plan is $750 a day. Monitoring devices, all 3 plans cover the monitoring devices. Red flag, the Defender program, it covers $5,000. The Ultimate program covers $10,000. The Constitutional Carry program covers $5,000. The crime scene cleanup, The Defender plan covers $3,000. The Ultimate covers $4,000, and Constitutional Carry covers $3,000. The accidental shooting is not covered on any of their plans. Any damages are not covered under the plans. All three plans have newsletters and educational videos. The annual cost is $209 for the Defender, $519 for the Ultimate, and Constitutional Carry is $299. This seems like a pretty good coverage, especially if you really are in a constitutional state and you're not going to travel and not use it. Is Right to Bear has one plan. They have the 24/7 365 coverage. They cover criminal representation and civil representation. No limits on the criminal or civil. No deductibles. No limits on attorney's fees. The bail bond is $100,000. No limit on the psychological support. The expert witness has $10,000. The firearm replacement they do cover. They're in 47 states. They, if you reside in a constitutional carry state, it's not applicable for them. The funeral expenses is not applicable. Appeals and expungements are only for civil plans. The loss of wages is not applicable. The monitoring devices is not applicable. The red flag law is not applicable. The crime scene cleanup is not applicable. Accidental shooting there is no limits on that. There are no damages that they pay. They have a newsletter. They have educational videos, and their annual cost is $235 for the first individual. Last company is Second Call Defense, and they actually have 4 different policies. And so we'll go through those. There's just a few things that aren't all similar. But so the very first category, which is 24-hour, 365, 7 days a week, all of their policies cover that. The representation of criminal, they're all covered. Representation for civil, they're all covered. Criminal limits are $100,000 on all policies. On the civil, the entry level has no coverage. The full level has $500K coverage for civil. The premium has $1 million coverage, and the elite has no limit. There are no deductibles in all the plans, and the attorney's fees are all covered within the no limit. So you're all right with that. Then we have the bail bond limits are $250,000 for all the plans. There is no psychological support. The expert witness is all covered in the same category of how much that they're going to spend on the total trial. Then they have firearm replacement. They have on the entry level, they don't have it, but on all their other levels, they do. Their coverage area is 47 states. They reside in a constitutional carry state, that's not applicable. Funeral expenses for any of them are not applicable. The appeals and expungement go along with all the total costs of the trials. Then the loss of wages is not applicable. The monitoring devices is not applicable to any of them. Red flag law is not applicable to any of the policies. Crime scene cleanup is not applicable. Accidental shooting on the entry level is $10,000. The full level is $50K. The premium level is $250K, and the elite is $300K. They all have policies that they do have newsletters, educational videos. Their actual cost Entry level is $119. The full level is $179. The premium level is $399, and the elite level is $499. Then if you add in if you add the spouse in, that's for the entry level is $167. The full level is $239. The premium level is $479, and the elite level is $598. In summation, there's a lot of different plans, and there's a lot of different categories to look at. And depending on the state, the county, the city that you live in, that might have some bearing on what program that you want to go with and what policy you want to go with. So do your research well. I will have a link to the spreadsheet down below in the descriptions, and download that and just look at it and make your phone calls. I think that's a super important thing to have, and thank you for watching. Please subscribe and please like, that really helps. Thanks a lot. We'll see you on the next one.